So it's a little complicated. It's very complicated. But effectively, if it's about gas and electric, Ofgem regulate it. When it comes to us at home, they've got a whole bunch of rules that energy suppliers must stick to. If they don't, they can be punished. And the way they're managing to keep prices in check is through the price cap mechanism. Ofgem is a regulator. They look after consumers and they look after anything to do with gas and electricity in the UK. So whilst that does look at producers, UK-based producers, the suppliers of energy and how they feed their energy into our homes and how they charge us, they also have to look at solar farms, wind farms, transition networks, the cables. They regulate all of those, the gas pipelines, and grid storage, the storage of our gas and electric as well. So there's a lot that Ofgem are taking care of. Those that have been following me along this energy petition journey will know that I really only look at how Ofgem regulate energy suppliers and the way they charge us at home. That to me is the most important part of their job, and sometimes I think the ball has been dropped. But the price cap is Ofgem's key shield between us and energy suppliers, if you want to look at it that way. It's the way they protect us. Whether or not they always use it correctly is another question for another video, but that's what we should be thinking about. The price cap, and this is an example of their price cap. So the price cap is confusing. The first thing to mention about it, it's not actually a cap on your bills, on what you can be charged. It's a cap on how much you can be charged per unit of energy. Okay, so your every unit of gas or electric you use has a price of pennies. It will say it on your bill somewhere. And they're saying that the average median use household under this cap will be charged £2,074 a year from the 1st of July. That doesn't mean you'll only be charged £2,074 per year, even if your gas and electric is roughly average. It could be slightly higher, it could be slightly lower depending on your usage. Unfortunately, it also varies on location. So the UK is split into 14 different electric regions and I think 12 or 10 different gas regions. And every region of the UK has different prices from the other regions for the price cap. So it's hugely complicated. I'm sure there's a logic to it that I don't understand. But to simplify it so most of us understand what's happening to our bills, they use this price cap and they use a single number, which is really just representative. It's not a real number. To get to this number, though, they have to add a bunch of allowances together. So these are some of them. There are others that are within some of these, if that makes sense. So things like backwardation allowance is in your wholesale cost. That's a jargon term that you don't really need to understand for the point of this video. I'm just explaining that each one of these elements is created using a separate formula. And some of them are really simple, some of them are really complicated. But Ofgem know the inputs to those formulas. They work them out every quarter now. It used to be every half a year, but it's now every quarter. Then they just add them together and tell us that's what the new price cap is. The last thing they do on the price cap is add these top three elements here: VAT, headroom, and EBIT. EBIT is profit. Headroom is headroom, it's a bit of extra space. VAT is the tax the government charge us. They're all worked out as percentages of other costs. So this is why we've been fighting on getting EBIT and headroom changed, because they artificially increase the energy, our price cap bills during an energy crisis, because they're worked out as percentages of other costs. As wholesale costs rocketed, so did profit, so did headroom, so did VAT. And it just wasn't necessary. I mean, you can see from this table here how they've all come down. All three of them are coming down because the other costs have come down. They also issue energy supplier licenses to energy suppliers. Suppliers have to pay for these licenses. Those costs are passed on to us eventually, but those licenses come with a list of regulations and rules that the supplier must adhere to throughout the year. And if they don't, then Ofgem can issue fines. They can stop them from taking certain actions, such as installing the prepayment meters, the forced fit prepayment meters that they had issues with earlier this year, which are still ongoing from what I understand. The worst thing they can do is revoke their licenses, which stops them from being allowed to be an energy supplier. More often than not, Ofgem will write them a letter and say, this is where you're making a breach, fix it within this time period, or you'll get one of these punishments. And that's what they do. They pretty much spot check suppliers and keep them on track to make sure they're sticking to all of the regulations they're supposed to be sticking to. That's how Ofgem work. They're paid for by suppliers under these energy licenses, but the licenses, the cost of suppliers are all passed on to us through our energy bills. So really, we pay for Ofgem. They don't get any money from the government, and they are a government body, but they're non-ministerial, so they don't have any MPs working for Ofgem or giving them direction or anything like that. They simply have a set of rules and guidelines given to them by Parliament and says this is how you can operate as a regulator, and if they ever want to change any of them, they have to go back to Parliament and say, we need these changed, please can you review these changes you want, and if it's in the best interest of consumers, presumably they will make those changes. So it's a little complicated, it's very complicated, but effectively, if it's about gas and electric, Ofgem regulate it. When it comes to us at home, they've got a whole bunch of rules that energy suppliers must stick to. If they don't, they can be punished. And the way they're managing to keep prices in check is through the price cap mechanism. I've kept this very simple, or as simple as I can, not very simple to be honest, but it is a very complicated thing. And I've tried not to go into where I think Ofgem have made mistakes. I think that's another video for another day. This is how things are supposed to work, and in an idealistic world, Ofgem would be there protecting us from the energy suppliers that are reaping massive profits at the moment. We'll talk about that in another video. If you've enjoyed this video, if you think other people will find it interesting, or if you're interested in seeing some of the other videos that I'm going to create in the next few weeks, please do subscribe to Over 50s Money, turn on the notifications, and like and share this video on your other socials. It really helps us out to get more people viewing, more people subscribed, and we can help more people understand the energy market. If you have any questions for me, I've had a couple of people come through and said it's hard to find my email address, so I'm going to start putting my email address in every YouTube video I do in the description. Or I personally check all of the comments, so if you've got a question, leave a comment, and I'll try my best to come back to you, or you can email me at richard@over50smoney.com. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.